Imagine a piece of the United States, 4.5 acres of sovereign territory, detached from the mainland and set adrift upon the restless, gray expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. It is not merely a ship, it is a mobile manifestation of a superpower's will, a floating fortress that carries the weight of a nation's foreign policy wherever it chooses to roam. This is the USS Gerald R. Ford, a 100,000-ton behemoth that defies the nature of the ocean it conquers. It represents a paradigm shift in naval warfare, a steel sentinel that stands as the ultimate deterrent in an increasingly volatile world. To stand in its shadow is to feel the overwhelming gravity of a machine designed for absolute naval dominance, a shadow that stretches across the waves. It is an engineering marvel that challenges the horizon itself. Building such a monster is an exercise in staggering numbers. The construction cost alone reached a monumental $13.3 billion. To the casual observer, this figure might seem like an indulgence, an extravagant luxury. However, in the high-stakes game of global geopolitics, this investment is a cold, strategic necessity. It is the price paid to ensure that no corner of the globe remains out of reach, a financial testament to the philosophy that absolute dominance is the only way to maintain the status quo. Every rivet, every cable, and every computerized circuit represents a calculated move in a game of global chess, transforming taxpayer capital into a kinetic instrument of authority. Resting at the Norfolk Naval Station, the scale of the vessel is almost impossible for the human mind to fully comprehend. It is a labyrinth of high-strength steel, forged to withstand the punishing pressures of both the deep sea and the heat of combat. The hull itself, though massive, bears the subtle mechanical imperfections of industrial labor, welds and plates that tell the story of thousands of shipbuilders working tirelessly in the shadow of this steel giant. Norfolk serves as the perfect backdrop, an industrial landscape of cranes and dry docks where the Ford was breathed into life. This isn't just a vehicle, it's a 100,000-ton statement of industrial might. The air here smells of salt spray and ozone, a constant reminder of the ocean's relentless hunger. Beneath the steel, deep within the bowels of the fortress, lies the heart of the beast. The transition from the sun-scorched deck to the engineering spaces is a journey into the future of energy. Here, the A-1B nuclear reactors hum with a terrifying potential. These reactors provide 3 times the generating capacity of the preceding Nimitz-class. It is a leap forward in power density that allows the ship to function like a self-sustaining city. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Our journey into the depths of this floating city is only beginning, and the true scale of its power is yet to be fully revealed. Every pulse of energy from these reactors is a heartbeat for the most advanced naval platform in history. There is a strange, unsettling silence to nuclear propulsion, while the ocean provides a deep, rhythmic bass drone that vibrates through the hull, and the reactors themselves remain eerily quiet. There is a profound psychological weight to the knowledge that this vessel will never need to refuel for 25 years. It can circle the globe indefinitely, a phantom of steel that never rests and never thirsts. This endurance transforms the Ford into a permanent strategic asset, a ghost that haunts the dreams of adversaries who know it will always be there, waiting just beyond the horizon. The primary mission of this vessel is total global reach, a tool of gunboat diplomacy that speaks louder than any treaty. But for all its size and power, the true essence of the USS Gerald R. Ford is not found in its engines or its hull. Everything converges on the singular, terrifyingly efficient space, the deck. The flight deck is where the kinetic potential of the USS Gerald R. Ford transforms into raw power. For decades, the The roar of steam defined naval aviation, but the Ford has replaced that industrial legacy with the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. Utilizing linear induction motors, EMALS accelerates 20-ton fighter jets with surgical precision. Unlike the violent surge of steam, this electromagnetic push is smooth and adjustable, allowing the carrier to launch everything from heavy fighters to light drones with less wear on the airframes. When a launch occurs, there is no cloud of steam, only a high-pitched metallic whine and a blur of motion as a multi-million-dollar machine is flung into the sky. It is the sound of the future being written across the horizon. Landing back on this fortress is equally sophisticated, governed by the advanced arresting gear. Gone are the hydraulic rams. The Ford uses electric motors to catch returning jets. As a tailhook snags the wire, the system calculates weight and speed in milliseconds, applying the exact resistance needed for a controlled halt. The arresting wire snaps taut like a violin string. The scene is a sensory assault. The screech of metal friction, the smell of burnt rubber, and the gut-wrenching deceleration of the pilot. This is a mechanical ballet performed under extreme tension, where any error is measured in catastrophic loss. The Ford's deck follows a pit-stop philosophy to maximize lethality. Centralized rearming and refueling stations mean aircraft no longer need to be shuffled across a crowded deck. Every movement is a calculated dance of logistics. Advanced weapons elevators move ordnance directly from magazines with industrial efficiency. This streamlined flow allows for a 33% increase in sortie generation rates. In high-intensity conflict, launching and rearming faster than the enemy is the ultimate tactical advantage. The Ford is not just a carrier, it is a high-speed factory for power projection. High above, the island superstructure houses the dual-band radar, a digital shield for the vessel. This system integrates multiple surveillance functions, capable of tracking low-altitude missiles and ballistic threats at the edge of space simultaneously. It provides situational awareness that borders on omniscience, scanning the void for hostility. This radar is the ship's primary nervous system, a silent sentinel monitoring the horizon with unwavering focus. Beneath these systems, the internal life of the vessel is a gritty human endeavor. 4,500 personnel live within this steel labyrinth, functioning as the biological components of a massive machine. It is a world of utilitarian efficiency. Berthing areas are cramped, functional spaces where sailors rest in tiered bunks, while the hum of the nuclear heart vibrates through the bulkheads. The industrial galley operates around the clock, producing thousands of meals to keep the crew operational. It is a life of recycled air, endless corridors, and the relentless discipline required to maintain a superpower's presence. Yet, the road to dominance has faced challenges. The reality of teething problems with revolutionary technology is a constant tension. Engineering crews work tirelessly to manage the friction between digital perfection and the corrosive saltwater environment. Maintaining electromagnetic systems in the middle of a restless ocean is a battle of its own. Every day is a struggle to ensure that innovation does not succumb to the harsh physical realities of the Atlantic. The technical hum of the ship suddenly changes pitch. A simulated threat is detected on the periphery of the radar's reach. The casual rhythms of the galley and maintenance shops evaporate instantly. The shift to high-alert readiness is visceral. The beast is waking up, its electronic eyes locking onto a target. The alert signal vibrates through the steel bones of the USS Gerald R. Ford, but the carrier does not face the coming challenge in isolation. As the alarm echoes, the surrounding horizon reveals the true nature of modern naval power. This is the activation of the Carrier Strike Group, a lethal constellation of steel and sensors where the Ford acts as the gravitational center. To its flanks, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers cut through the white-capped Atlantic, their Aegis combat system slaved to the carrier's dual-band radar. Beneath the surface, a Virginia-class attack submarine glides in the silent dark, a predatory shadow ensuring no threat approaches from the depths. This is not just a ship, it is a mobile ecosystem of destruction, a lethal network of defense. The synergy between these vessels creates a defensive bubble across the global stage. On the flight deck, the transition from readiness to execution is instantaneous. The air wing is the Ford's primary reach, and today, that reach is more sophisticated than ever before. Stealthy F-35C. Lightning IIs sit alongside the rugged F/A 18E/F Super Hornets, representing a terrifying marriage of digital invisibility and raw kinetic force. They are nodes in a data-sharing grid. The F-35C can identify targets deep within enemy territory, relaying that data back to the strike group before the adversary even knows the sky is occupied. This allows power projection into denied spaces with surgical efficiency. Each launch is a demonstration of the ship's lethal intent as the electromagnetic catapults fling these multi-million-dollar predators into the gray Atlantic sky with relentless, mechanical precision. This massive presence casts a long geopolitical shadow across every coastline it nears. The Ford is the ultimate instrument of gunboat diplomacy, a non-verbal ultimatum that requires no translation. Its mere arrival in international waters can stabilize a region or paralyze an opponent's ambitions. In the high-stakes game of global chess, the carrier is the queen, capable of moving across the entire board to checkmate any threat to the international order. It represents a physical manifestation of American resolve, a 4.5-acre piece of sovereign territory that carries the full weight of a superpower's will. Yet, the myth of the unsinkable ship is constantly tested by the reality of modern warfare. Adversaries develop anti-ship ballistic missiles and hypersonic threats designed to pierce this steel heart. The Ford responds with layers of technological defiance. Its close-in weapon systems roar to life in a blur of tungsten fire, while rolling airframe missiles and evolved Sea Sparrow missiles stand ready to intercept incoming threats miles from the hull. This is a game of digital and physical inches, where the ship's survival depends on the seamless integration of its defensive layers. The vessel is designed not just to survive, but to endure and retaliate with overwhelming force. As the sun dips below the horizon, the USS Gerald R. Ford enters a developing storm. The 100,000-ton giant cutting through massive, dark swells is power projection in its rawest, most industrial form. The waves crash against the high-strength steel hull, but the ship remains a stable, indomitable platform. There is a strategic solemnity in this movement, a reminder that while the world around it may be chaotic and shifting, the Ford remains a constant. It is the guardian of the global status quo, a weapon designed less for the glory of war and more for the maintenance of a world order defined by naval dominance. The $13.3 billion investment reveals its true value not in the heat of battle, but in the silence of deterrence. It is an insurance policy for the future, a technological standard that will define the next 50 years of naval history. As the carrier eventually fades into the heavy gray mist of the Atlantic, it leaves behind a wake of absolute authority. The sensors remain active, the reactors continue their quiet hum, and the crew remains at their stations. The archive of its current mission reaches its final conclusion, marking uncontested sovereignty. Status remains operational. Dominance remains absolute and unquestioned.